When season 4 of The Rookie came out back in 2021, the show was doing massive numbers, and in a world where TV was dying, it was leading the industry. Of course, it was inevitable that ABC and the show's creator, Alexi Hawley, were going to want to expand on the success in some sort of way. That is when The Rookie Feds was born, a show centering a rookie FBI agent that navigated the same treacherous path that Nolan had to in the main show, being a rookie at such an older age. However, The Rookie Feds failed spectacularly, ending after one season and being pulled from the network faster than Nolan went through girlfriends in the first couple seasons of the show. But why did this show fail so badly that you can't even find it on streaming services anymore? The only way to watch it is by buying the episodes one by one for a couple of bucks each. And in 2026, who's doing that? It's clear that they're trying to bury this show, but because they tried to cross these two shows over each other throughout the 4th and 5th seasons, it will never fully go away. Before I can go into why the show failed as spectacularly as it did, I have to tell you about how the show was introduced to the audience in the first place, as the showrunners decided to take a very direct and unusual approach with testing the concept. The way they did it was with 2 backdoor pilot episodes that were a part of the real show in season 4 in order to promote Feds, which would air alongside season 5. These episodes were season 4 episode 19, Simone, and season 4 episode 20, Enervo. And this is where we meet the woman that would become the main protagonist in The Rookie Feds, Simone Clark, a middle-aged woman who was trying to become the best FBI agent that she could be, despite her age. She's seen doing the FBI driving test in the beginning of episode 19 before being called to Los Angeles to help out with a case called Enervo, as she was connected to a suspect of a terror attack because she taught the kid. When there, she meets John Nolan, who was seeing the expertise that Simone brought to the table that nobody else was able to see. And during that ride that her and Nolan shared, they found that they were one and the same, the oldest rookies of their respective agencies who found themselves competing with officers a couple decades younger than them. And while Simone hadn't figured this out yet, Nolan tells her some very sound advice that made him a better officer.
But what you lack in flexibility or the ability to run up a flight of stairs without getting winded, you more than make up for in life experience.
Despite her help on the case, they want her to leave before the interview even starts, but the suspect says that he'll only talk to her. And by talking through their past, he opened up and talked about his role in the bombing. He was commissioned to make 6 detonators that were programmed to go off when they hit specific coordinates. And after said interview, she was on her way, or so the show wanted us to believe. She went off to her dad's house, and her dad was not happy to see her. But despite that, she's let in and they talk. He's willing to find her kid a lawyer. However, he makes it very clear about how disappointed he is that she is training to be a part of the FBI. With his history involving law enforcement though, it does make sense. He was convicted of a crime that he never committed, and so I'm not surprised that he would be upset about the choice. However, she's committed to being a part of the change, to do what's right from the inside. And her dad, despite his objections, tells her that nobody will tell her where she doesn't belong. And that's when she comes back the next day and fights her way into being on the rest of the case, where she succeeds. Through her, they were able to find the connection between the crazy extraterrestrial guy and the bomber, and they started looking for him. They find out about the 5 trucks, and one by one, they attempt to apprehend them. Florida, caught. Idaho, caught. Utah, caught by Smitty, and even Gray was impressed.
Smitty! I take back every negative thing I've ever said about you.
What? You said negative things about me?
All that's left is Kentucky, and Nolan and Simone got that one too. But when they get back to the office, she is back to talking to Fremont. She's able to get more information out of him. Through a picture of the bar that the man would eat, and a bit of help from her dad, she was able to identify where the man could be located and found him there. But he beats her down and runs off, forcing her and Nolan to go on a chase after him into the aquarium. They apprehend him, but they have to get him out fast, as Bill August's team is on their way to take him out. The final shootout occurs, and everyone is rounded up. And that's how the backdoor pilot episodes end. But this isn't the last time that Simone Clark and the Rookie Feds is involved in the main show. The 4th, 10th, and 21st episodes of both the Rookie Feds' first and only season, as well as the Rookie Season 5, are crossover episodes between the two shows. The 4th episodes are based around the tail end of Rosalind Dyer's reign, with the main show going into the actual death of Rosalind, whereas the Feds episode was based around who sniped her. But then Simone herself appears in the main show episodes The List, which was about the bank robbery, as well as Going Under, which was about infiltrating an illegal firearms operation. Though many would say that her appearances in both of these episodes weren't really required, and they didn't connect the shows nearly as much as the 4th episode crossover. Now that all of this lore has been discussed, why was this show a massive failure? I've been keeping you guys waiting long enough, so now I can finally discuss the reasons that the show failed. Let's start with the obvious one, Simone Clark herself. Look, the actress is good, and she put everything into the role, but unlike Nolan with the LAPD, the FBI is a whole other beast with a much more strict protocol. Her unprofessionalism shown through both shows would have gotten her booted within 10 minutes of the main show's Simone episode. As the guy doing the driving training said, people get fired for having acne. Why wouldn't her blatant procedure breaking cause her to get the boot? Not to mention, her voice turned a lot of people away from her, as well as the show as a whole. When I made my most hated characters video, I had to see what people thought of her specifically, and I found multiple threads dogging on her voice, as well as her personality as a whole. Here's what they had to say. Even though she breaks the stereotype for female FBI agents, both physically and personality-wise, she still seemed so unrealistic and just annoying. It was her voice I couldn't stand. Going all the way back to when she was on Reno 911, Nash's voice has always driven me crazy, and her overly maternal way of speaking to people. Calling suspects or witnesses sugar, sweetie, or honey, I mean, that should be grounds for disciplinary measures alone. It's incredibly unprofessional. Interestingly, thanks to Season 8, Episode 5, The Network, we get another tidbit of information that throws the idea of Simone Clark out the window anyways. The age cutoff for joining the FBI is 35, with very few exceptions involving people with extensive law enforcement history. So how the hell was she even hired anyways? I know they only added this into the episode to show that Nolan couldn't move to the FBI, but even in real life, the age cutoff is anywhere between 35 and 38 depending on the division. So that's another strike against her. However, when looking back at this thread again, a few people made a good point that I didn't go through in that previous video, and that was her character isn't actually that bad in a general sense, but rather specifically for an FBI agent. Instead, what if she had been part of the LAPD in the regular show, and someone more qualified had been the main character of Feds? The biggest problem is that the FBI is the elite of the elite, and she is not that. She might be quick-witted and emotionally smart, but that would make you a good patrol officer, not an FBI agent hunting international criminals. She's fine when on The Rookie, and I actually like the scene she's in with Nolan. But on her show, the little bit I watched seemed like she does the opposite of what she's told/ordered to do that goes wrong. Would she have been a better fit on the main show? Let me know in the comments what you think of this. It's hard to imagine her on The Rookie, but perhaps she would have been received a bit better. The second reason was that this show was trying to punch way above its weight. When you have a spinoff like this, it's better to make the spinoff after the first show had already ended. Such as, for example, Georgie and Mandy's first marriage was for young Sheldon. They didn't make the Georgie and Mandy show until young Sheldon was completely finished, and this made it where these shows didn't compete with each other. However, The Rookie and The Rookie Feds were running at the exact same time within days of each other. Not to mention that they're basically the exact same style of writing, filming, and dialogue. Why would people watch The Rookie Feds when they have a more established, more developed show to watch instead? I think they assumed because they had a show that was massively successful, they had a secret formula that they can replicate over and over again. But they didn't. What the original show had is a perfect central character with Nolan, an amazing group of main characters, developed stories and traumas, as well as they have the formula for a continuously revolving door cast, which gives the show unbelievable longevity. Now, we have to address the elephant in the room, which is that ABC and Alexi Hawley are trying this again with the newly announced spinoff The Rookie North, which is basically doing the exact same format that the original show did, which was a middle-aged man joining the Pierce Police Department in Washington, with the only difference being that it takes place in more of a rural area versus a big city like Los Angeles. And again, I think this spinoff is going to fail. I know it has a stacked cast, but like I was talking about just a minute ago, You have no reason to watch The Rookie North when there's an extremely established 8-season-long show with over 125 episodes, developed characters, storylines, and the groundwork to continue for years to come. It's like if Grey's Anatomy made a spin-off show called Grey's Anatomy Seattle or something like that. I personally believe this show will go for a season, maybe 2 if they can get decent numbers on the first one, but then they'll ultimately get the axe. Will you be giving The Rookie North a try? Let me know down below. Make sure to hype up this video if you're on mobile to show me some love, and subscribe to see more videos like this one. Thanks for watching.